host John Burke. Josh is out on vacation this week, so it's going to be just yours truly on today's show or for the rest of the week as well. A lot of news to get into, and apologies for the lack of music because, again, I am not a producer, I am not an editor, nor am I a musical or sound engineer. I'm just a dude that talks on a podcast and speaks his mind, but doesn't really know jack about audio engineering. So that's where we stand. We wish Josh a very, very happy vacation, and he's definitely earned it. And again, this episode is brought to you by ShellShockCBD.com. Make sure you check it out. We appreciate all your love and support. Again, ShellShockCBD.com for anxiety, stress, pain management. We can help you out there. And don't forget, code Burke will save you 10% off of your order. Now, I do want to start out today's podcast saying I'm sorry that we didn't do Drunken Debates this weekend. Just a lot of personal issues kept coming up, and I had to push it off. I had to take care of myself and some issues I was running into. So again, I apologize for that, but Drunken Debates will return come this Saturday. We've got a group of panelists that are actually really impressive, really good, outspoken, intelligent individuals from both sides of the spectrum. So we definitely appreciate that. But so yeah, it's been interesting in the news. We see some Iran stuff kicking off. We see Russia's doubling down, and we see some political people just going at each other's throats on different sides of the aisle. And what a day and age that we live in, that now it's like we don't know who to support anymore. You've got Romney going after Tulsi. You've got a lot of people like Lindsey Graham pushing Biden to push harder on Russia. It just seems as if the waters have been clouded and they're very murky with who actually wants to support American interests and who wants to get involved in foreign wars that's going to cost us American lives and a lot of American money. And this day and age, it's okay to say, I don't want to get involved. Now, I posted yesterday. I'm going to start the show out because I had some people asking me some questions as far as like what I posted in regards to this gentleman. Here it is. The tweet is from Vernon Jones for Congress. He says, "We are no longer the party of Mitt Romney's or John McCain's. We are the party of Donald J. Trump." Now, I want to read that for you again real quick, and I want to explain to you why this is very dangerous. We are no longer the party of Mitt Romney's or John McCain's. Yes, we are. We still have Mitt Romney here. He's still a rhino. He's still in office. I don't know what you're referring to there. That's cool. But we are the party of Donald J. Trump. Now, this is why I take issue. This has become an echo chamber. If you want to wrap your party's identity around one individual, you make that one individual the mouthpiece for an entire movement. This is dangerous. This is very dangerous. And I'm going to explain to you why. Over the past 4, 5, 6 years, we've seen what organizations such as Turning Point have become. Propagandists, Trump loyalists, they host these things. Don't get me wrong, they do a lot of good out there, but they are certainly not pro-Constitution because, again, anything Trump says, they parrot. Now, the GOP has propped Trump up to such a high elevated spot that if you truly want to try and run for Congress and have a fighting chance, then it would behoove you, according to how they view things, to receive Trump's endorsement. Now, the one issue that I take with this is, what if that you disagree with Donald Trump on some of his opinions? Are you still going to get his endorsement? It's a very powerful position to have, and I don't think people understand the long-term ramifications of such a play for power. And you people that are doing this are giving him that power. And the one example I'll give you is you look at Tony Cowden, who was running against Bo Hines. Bo Hines, and again, I don't have nothing against this kid, but this goes to serve a purpose. Bo Hines is, I think, 25, 26 years old. His father's a millionaire. He's a part of the Turning Point crowd, and he is pushing for Trump's endorsement hardcore. Now, Bo Hines, anyone that associates with Turning Point and the likes of them that are Trump loyalists, I automatically do not trust. Tony Cowden will not be going after Trump's endorsement. We had Tony on the actual program. We did an interview with him. He's more libertarian-based. That's why I like his stances on that. He's a Green Beret, retired out of the military. His takes on a lot of these issues that are going on in the world I actually like. And this is by no means an endorsement of him, but it's to showcase the example of, if you want new blood that supports the Constitution, then they need to be pushed in there. But if these people in the GOP are going to play this game that you need to pander to God, King, Emperor Trump, you're going to wonder why you continuously get rhinos. You're going to wonder why you continuously get anti-2A politicians elected into power. How have we not learned this yet? I still sit here and I beat this drum on social media trying to warn people. And naturally, the people in the comments, because what's wrong with Trump, is like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Trump. Sometimes it feels like, I don't know if perhaps I am not captioning these posts more accurately, but I would hope people would kind of understand and wake up to the notion of the two-party system is failing us. And if we want new blood in there, the GOP has got to become the party of open-minded, critical, individual, independent thinking. This cannot be achieved if you sit there and say your entire party is built around the personality of one individual. Trump's just the figurehead. It could be anybody. It could be any politician it could be DeSantis. It could be anybody. But when you give that person that much power of influence over an entire political movement, that's the wrong answer. That's the wrong answer. And instantly people they meet me with, well, what's wrong with Trump? What's wrong with a king? What's wrong with a dictator? What's wrong with an influential figure having that much power that essentially his opinion becomes gospel? Do you people just not think? Have you learned nothing? I don't think you have. If we want new blood, if the GOP is to really stand a fighting chance, it's got to push more libertarian. This cannot be achieved if we don't have new blood going in there with the likes of Tony Cowden pushing more conservative or more constitutional stance politics. It won't be achieved. Instead, we'll keep going down the road of the turning points, the grifters, the clout chasers. I mean, there's so many damn influences out there. One running for Congress. Turning point loyalists. I'm going to kick out the rhinos. Okay, what are you going to do? Well, we're going to fight the rhinos. Well, okay, cool. What are you going to do? Well, no, I don't. Do any of you figureheads, do any of you congressional candidates, do any of you have any opinions outside of what God, King, Emperor Trump says? Would you dare go against Trump when he's wrong? Because I don't think you will. I think you're bought and paid for. This is dangerous. It has nothing to do with Trump and everything to do with this idea that if one person becomes so popular in a movement, that entire movement becomes their personality. This is dangerous. I've warned you. I continue to warn you. People just don't seem to understand. They don't seem to listen. The one thing I'll give the Democrats, their party, well, I'm not going to go there. People just don't seem to understand the point. They instantly take it as very superficial. Well, what's wrong with Trump? It's not about Trump. See the bigger picture. I'm talking about longevity. I'm talking about purging the GOP of the boomer conservatives and implementing new political figures that are actually more pro-constitutional. And you'll find you'll win over a lot more Democrats from the left than if we continue pushing further and further right or going down the route of boomer politics, boomer conservative politics. It's not working. You got your Romneys, and we're going to cover that story today. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. Mitt Romney. I don't know where this guy comes from. I honestly do not understand how people continuously vote for this guy. I genuinely don't. Romney slams Gabbard for parroting Russian propaganda and treasonous lies. Now, I'm going to read for you what is said by both parties here. And you can decide for yourself who's right and who is wrong. Mitt Romney. Republican Senator Mitt Romney accused former Democratic Representative Tulsi Gabbard on Sunday for repeating Russian propaganda after she claimed that the U.S. is involved in biological labs in Ukraine. He said, Tulsi Gabbard is parroting false Russian propaganda, the Utah senator tweeted. Her treasonous lies may well cost lives. What? His remarks came after Gabbard, who hails from Hawaii, posted a video on Twitter Sunday morning in which she claimed there are 25 to 30 U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine. This has been confirmed. This has been confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure what he's talking about. Now, I know Tulsi. There are things that I will adamantly disagree with her on, 100%. But she's right on this. According to the U.S. government, these biolabs are conducting research on dangerous pathogens, she said in the video. These pathogens know no borders. If they are inadvertently or purposely breached or compromised, they will quickly spread all throughout Europe, the United States, and the rest of the world, causing untold suffering and death. Okay. Where is she wrong? Have we not heard of Wuhan? I'm not sure where Romney, this guy is off his rocker. The former congresswoman said that in order to protect everyone around the world, these labs need to be shut down immediately and the pathogens they hold need to be destroyed. And the U.S. and Ukrainian governments have both denied the existence of bioweapon facilities in Ukraine, according to The Independent. This week, Florida Senator Marco Rubio asked the U.S. Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs Victoria Nuland if Ukraine does in fact have biological or chemical weapons. Nuland responded that Ukraine has biological research facilities, adding that she is concerned that Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of them. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach, she said. Okay, it wasn't so long ago. It wasn't so long ago as I sit here in my Cheeto-crusted fingertips with my Cheeto, clutching my shut the fuck up cup of coffee. It was not so far-fetched and long ago that I do remember that we as a population or a state, or country, were lied to by our government, to include Lord Fauci. Now, you remember 5 minutes ago when I was talking about how Trump can take on the person, or the GOP is going to take on the persona of Trump and make him the figurehead of their movement? Fauci's no different. We're going to trust the science. When you make an entire movement with one person as a figurehead, you remove from it the ability to criticize said figurehead when they're wrong. And guess what? Sometimes they get it wrong. Trump has gotten it wrong. Trump has also gotten it right. I always have to say he's gotten it right, so the people that instantly go, well, he's done a lot of things good. I didn't say he hasn't. I did not say he hasn't. But when you take on one figurehead in an entire movement, their word becomes law, with no room for independent thought or public disagreement. Instead, it's shut up, support Trump because we hate the left. Well, then all you've done is, in order to hate the left, you've given yourself one dictator of thought, and now you're no better than the left. How dare you? How dare you think for yourself? What's wrong with you? But back to the other point. Do we really believe anything the government has to say anymore? Do we? If you do, look, I've got news for you. You kind of deserve to get duped. Gain of function. It's not true. Fauci emails get leaked. It gets drug up before Congress. And then he tries to, well, it's not the same thing. We're trying to change the definition. They tried, I remember. Rand Paul was grilling this cat. That's right, I said cat. Jesus, I sound old. It's crazy, right? They lied to us then. And the outbreak of COVID, to prevent people from panicking, we were lied to consistently. So then explain to me why the hell I'm going to believe anything any government entity has to say regarding biological experimentation or research. Do you really think they don't have biological weapons over there? Like, do we really? Come on. Come on. If you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you. And Mitt Romney talks about parenting or parroting. What are you talking about? How is it treasonous for Gabbard to sit there and say, we need to remove these and destroy them before they fall into the hands of Russians? Because there's no telling what Russia will do. Russia's economy is in the toilet. They're taking a hard beating in Ukraine. What the hell are you talking about, Romney? Let's put this into a hypothetical. Let's say there is a possibility or a high probability that biological weapons do exist over there, or even just biological research facilities. Maybe they do. And there's a possibility that as Russian forces advance, they can have that fall into Russian hands. don't you think you'd want some safe assurances or some safeguards put into place to ensure that Russia does not get their hands on that research? Now, there are rumors that are circulating saying they already have their hands on a few of them. But they've acknowledged this. Undersecretary of State acknowledged this. There are biological research facilities. What do you think Wuhan was? Now, when people say, like, weapons, I think they instantly go to, like, missiles and things like that. Wuhan was researching coronavirus. Gain-of-function research funded by the U.S. in China. Explain to me how Ukraine could be any different. Maybe different pathogens, I don't know. But if you sincerely believe that we don't have our fingers in that biological warfare pie, you're out of your mind. Biological warfare, with the outbreak of Wuhan or the coronavirus, governments across the world are seeing the effectiveness of a biological terror weapon. Imagine, if you will, you could engineer a type of biological weapon that could target people based upon, let's just say, race or DNA-based stuff, which, again, this is being researched. You would have the upper hand. Essentially a chemical that could target individuals. It's almost like a movie. I mean, it basically is a movie. So for Romney to sit here and say Gabbard is speaking treasonous is beyond me. Like, look, I do try and be I do try to have a rational perspective on a lot of things. Sometimes I do get emotional when things that are close to me come up. I do. But I'm sitting here looking at this statement, reading it, and asking myself, what the hell is this guy thinking? What are you talking about? Treasonous for spreading lies? These institutions counter biological threats throughout the country. They counter the threats by also testing the threat. The threat exists in the lab, and if that threat gets out, then yes, it will do a lot of damage. So stop trying to frame this as if it's just innocent. The institutions counter biological threats throughout the country, the spokesperson added, and also confirmed that the country is in compliance with the Biological Weapons Convention, BWC. Big whoop. Big whoop. Was the Wuhan lab? All you got to say is Wuhan to counter each one of these points. Makes sense to me. I mean, am I smoking crack here? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, watch both sides of MSM when it comes to the war in Ukraine. Fox is pushing Ukrainian propaganda. CNN is pushing it. They want us in this war. They want us pulled into this war. It is clear as day. Lindsey Graham wants us in this war. These war hawks, they want us to actually commit, to go in there, because it makes money. War is a very lucrative business. It is. These institutions counter, while the same cannot be said for Russia, which has an active biological weapons program is in violation of the BWC. Echoing the State Department's comments, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said on Wednesday that Russia's allegation of U.S. biological weapons lab is false. I'm sorry. It's not that I trust Russia over our administration. I don't trust either of you. I think you're both liars. I think you're both manipulators. To sit there and honestly think that I'm going to believe anything Jen Psaki has to say on behalf of the Biden administration. You have denied inflation as a result of Biden's economic policies. You blamed it on Ukraine even before the Ukraine conflict escalated to the point where it's at now. You say that the Biden administration's policies have nothing to do with inflated gas prices, yet they directly do. They have lied consistently and repetitively. And for anyone to believe a single word that they say at this point, you're an idiot. You are legitimately an idiot. Everything that is printed and said by this administration, I do not believe, or I take with a grain of salt. You are seeing clear and present political manipulation and corruption. This is preposterous. It's the kind of disinformation operation we've seen repeatedly from the Russians over the years in Ukraine and in other countries, which have been debunked, and an example of the types of false pretexts we have been warning the Russians would invent, she added. Yeah, like I believe you, Psaki. Absolutely. You've lied about some. You notice, and here's another reason why I don't trust the administration. You notice that Biden has not taken responsibility for a single thing. There have been no apologies given. Remember, he said, hey, Trump doesn't have a plan for COVID, but I do. And then not even a year and some change later, hey, the federal government can't stop COVID. That's up to the states. Way to shift responsibility. You campaigned on that promise. You campaigned on that promise. And you know the bone the Biden administration is throwing the American people right now? Hey, we're going to fix up to 65,000 miles of, roads and infrastructures in America. Cool, Joe. That's not a pressing issue for a lot of people out there. Right now, the 50-meter target is gas prices. Deal with that. The infrastructure is one thing. You got a whole team dedicated to just that. Maybe you should focus on gas and inflation. Fuck the roads. The roads aren't going anywhere, no pun intended. You can do both. This is what he's going to try and do to chalk up a W come midterms. Hey, man, the thing. I did this, but still, hey, I gave you good roads. How very Romanesque. Next, he'll be asking if we want aqueducts. How very nice of him. Such a kind and loving ruler. No lies detected, right? So Mitt Romney tweets this, and Tulsi Gabbard's response is this. She says, you have called me a treasonous liar for stating the fact that there are 20. Can we, I got to stop with this. Can we stop using these terms that are just not correct? How is it treasonous to say there are U.S. stuff over there that's like, what are you talking about? In fact, that's the opposite of treasonous. That's not deflecting or defecting. That's not supporting Russia. That's saying these biological laboratories exist. They need to be shut down before Russia gets its hand. Like, what are you talking about? I tweeted out in response to this, like, this has the stench of the same style of, like, what liberals do. Everyone I don't like is a Nazi. You know who actually legitimately has Nazis? Ukraine. Ukraine does. The Azov Battalion. It's in their National Guard. NATO had tweeted out a picture of that Ukrainian soldier, the female, saying, we stand in support of Women's Day. And she had that Azov Battalion Nazi logo on her kit, and they quickly deleted it. Why? You know why. So it strikes me very ironic that the left continues to push this idea of supporting Ukraine. They have literal Nazis fighting with them. Maybe that's a great indicator of, hey, both sides are fucked up. Stay out of this. I digress. Mitt Romney, you've called me a treasonous liar for stating the fact that there are 25 U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine, which, if breached, would release and spread deadly pathogens to the U.S. world. This has been confirmed. This is true. And therefore must be secured in order to prevent pandemics, or prevent new pandemics. Bizarrely, you claim that securing these labs, or even calling for securing these labs, is treasonous and will lead to a loss of life, when the exact opposite is obviously true. The spread of pathogens is what will cause the loss of life, not the prevention of such spread. Senator Romney, please provide evidence that what I said is untrue and treasonous. If you cannot, you should do the honorable thing, apologize and resign from the Senate. Evidence of the existence of such biolabs, their vulnerability, and thus the need to take immediate action to secure them is beyond dispute. Number one, State Department's Victoria Nuland acknowledged such labs containing dangerous pathogens exist in Ukraine in her testimony to the U.S. Senate March 8, 2022. Ukraine has biological research facilities which, in fact, are quite concerned that Russian troops may be seeking to gain control of. We are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach. Number two, Pentagon fact sheet March 11, 2022 has numerous statements directly and indirectly. Indirectly confirming the existence of such biolabs. The United States, through BTRP, has invested approximately $200 million in Ukraine since 2005, supporting 46 Ukrainian laboratories, health facilities, and diagnostic sites. $200 million. And we wonder why this government cannot balance a budget. What business do we have sending $200 million for biological research facilities in Ukraine? Number 3, CBS faced the nation March 13, 2022. Correspondent David Martin said pathogen official told him they're concerned about the existence of such biolabs in Ukraine. The concern is that Russia will seize one of these biomedical research facilities and that Ukraine has where they do research on deadly pathogens like botulism and anthrax. Seize one of these facilities, weaponize a pathogen, and then blame it on Ukraine and the U.S. because the U.S. has been providing support for some of the research being done in those facilities. Does this not feel to you like this is the swamp versus those that are anti-U.S. government getting involved in everything? I agree with Tulsi on this one. Mitt Romney is a part of the swamp. I guarantee it. Why else would you say something so ignorant, so stupid? In April 2020, in refuting Russia's accusation that U.S. is using biolabs in Ukraine to develop biological weapons, U.S. Embassy in Ukraine acknowledged there are U.S.-funded labs in Ukraine working with pathogens for vaccine and other peaceful purposes. Number 5, CNN fact check March 10th. There is a U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine. That much is true. Number 6, furthermore, according to the DoD, there are 2 biolabs in Ukraine that have been under Russian control for some time. Russia illegally took possession of 2 Ukrainian-owned laboratories that BTRP upgraded in 2014 and continues to deny Ukrainian access to the facilities. So, Senator Romney, you have a choice. Out of pride, continue to deny the truth or admit you are wrong, apologize, and resign. Aloha, and remember that without the truth, we can neither be safe nor free. Explain to me how anything she said is considered treasonous or should be considered treasonous, because I don't see it. What Romney is doing is denying, and there's 2 reasons. Number 1, he's trying to have America save face on the international stage, or 2, he's up to something. He's got ties over there. It's crazy, right? I think people are starting to finally wake up to the debauchery and manipulation and corruption of governments across the world. I think people are finally starting to wake up to it. The Obama administration meddling in in Ukraine in 2014, probably earlier than that. Sending them millions for research, like what? No. Absolutely not. But that was making headlines today. I saw that and I'm just kind of like, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? Who keeps electing these idiots? These voters, seriously, you need to stop voting. You need to stop voting. You voted for an idiot. This guy is a turncoat. He makes no sense. None. Romney is McCain 2.0. He's a joke. He's a joke. All right. This happened over the weekend. I didn't really want to post about it because I don't know for sure the exact details. Went to the opera, I think it was Saturday evening. I went and saw this play called Flight. It's actually pretty good. The premise of it is, if you've seen the movie Terminal with Tom Hanks, it's very similar to it. A little hard to understand, but it was a comedic opera. We went to the Dallas Theater, and it was actually really good. But during one of the breaks, they had two 20-minute intermissions. I noticed on my phone that Iran is kind of stepping into the ring. Iran claims missile barrage near U.S. consulate in Iran. Now, again, it did not hit the U.S. consulate. Everybody was saying it hit the U.S. consulate. This is war. It did not hit the U.S. consulate because I was kind of worried about that. I was like, wait, where did it hit? There was a lot of fuzzy reports. A lot of people were jumping the gun and reporting, oh, it hit the U.S. embassy. U.S. civilians died, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, I don't know what the hell is happening. So I didn't really feel confident in posting something like that. I feel like there's just more to this. This comes to us today from from abcnews.com. And again, you take this with a grain of salt. Iran has claimed responsibility for a missile barrage that struck near a sprawling U.S. consulate complex in the northern Iraqi city of Erbil, saying it was retaliation for an Israeli strike in Syria that killed 2 members of its Revolutionary Guard. Baghdad. Iran claimed responsibility Sunday for a missile barrage that struck near a sprawling U.S. consulate complex in northern Iraq, saying it was retaliation for an Israeli strike in Syria that killed 2 members of its Revolutionary Guard earlier this week. Iraq's foreign ministry on Sunday summoned Iran's ambassador to protest the attack, calling it a flagrant violation of the country's sovereignty. No injuries were reported in Sunday's attack on the city of Erbil, which marked a significant escalation between the U.S. and Iran. Hostility between the longtime foes is often played out in Iraq, whose government is allied with both countries. So they tried to strike Iraq. I'm not sure if their goal was America or a U.S. consulate there, in retaliation for what Israel did. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. Doesn't make sense to me. Weird. Oh my God. The attack drew harsh condemnation from the Iraqi government, which called it a violation of international laws and norms, and demanded an explanation from the Iranian leadership. Iraq's foreign ministry spokesman Ahmed al-Settaf told Associated Press that the ministry summoned the Iranian ambassador Iraj Majesti to deliver the diplomatic protest. The United States said the missile strike emanated from Iran and strongly condemned it. The strikes were an outrageous violation of Iraq's sovereignty. No U.S. facilities were damaged or personnel injured, and we have no indication. Here's the thing. This is why we need Trump. I know it's going to blow people's minds when I just sat there and I talked about how an entire party does not need to have the personality of Donald Trump, but let's also acknowledge Trump was decent. He was great at foreign policy. Trump was not to be trifled with. You didn't fuck with Trump. Imagine if Trump was in office. I know it pretty much would say, if I see another one of those missiles, if they touch any U.S. lives over in Iraq, we're going to bomb you. We will bomb you into obliteration. You do not fuck. Trump, honestly, I mean, come on. He had the balls. And he was respected and feared on the world stage. Trump would decimate them. There's no denying that. I mean, my God, you even had Trevor Noah, the comedian, who I don't think is funny whatsoever. But again, liberals have a way different sense of humor. It doesn't actually involve humor. It's just saying feel-good talking points and we laugh and clap because, again, that's what they've turned comedy into, political correct comedy, which is void of all actual humor. All of it. Even Trevor Noah came out and talked about how we need Trump. Sure, he had some mean tweets, but we need Trump. When Trevor Noah, one of the bigger mouthpieces of the leftist agenda on MSM, comes out there and says that, your narrative is crumbling. Your administration is on fire. Your ship is sinking. But here's the deal. I'm sorry, but I feel nothing for you. The likes of Trevor Noah should be held accountable. This whole forgive and forget thing, I don't agree. I don't agree with that. You picked your side. You go down with the ship. You want to come over? Come over. But you should be held accountable for what you voted for. You were warned. You were warned and you didn't listen because you bought into the propaganda nonstop spewed by the MSM, painting Trump as a racist, a xenophobe, a Nazi, all these things. Trump was doing a lot of things right. He was. He talked about the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. He called it right. And you leftist mouthpieces, you condemned him repeatedly. You bought into the propaganda. You magnified and repeated the propaganda. You turned more and more people against America. You took the side of irrational thinking. All because it became cool to hate Trump. And a lot of you are starting to understand the person that you're voting for, you might not like personally, but he's probably the best for the job at the time. It's just funny. It's just funny to me. I'd seen that meme. It talked about we are in the longest ever I told you so in American history. And you know what's sad? You Democrats elected this piece of shit, this sorry-ass administration, and Kamala Harris comes out She's doing a briefing, and she continues to open her mouth and embarrass not only herself, but America, talking about how Ukraine was a part of NATO. Are you kidding me? Now, here's the deal. I can understand if the average American citizen doesn't really know what countries are not involved in NATO. I can understand that. It's not something we pay a lot of attention to. You are the vice president. You are the vice president. You should know that. And geographically speaking, you should know where Poland is on a map, especially when you go visit it. You are an embarrassment. You're a joke. It is beyond me. ZZP guy, this is your last warning. If you come in here with anti-Semitism, you'll be asked to leave. The strikes were an outrageous violation of Iraq's sovereignty. No U.S. facilities were damaged, the personnel injured. We have no indication, blah, blah, blah. Iran's powerful Revolutionary Guard said on its website that it attacked what it described as an Israeli spy center in Erbil. It did not elaborate, but a statement said Israel had been on the offensive, citing the recent strike that killed 2 members of the Revolutionary Guard. The semi-official Tanzim news agency quoted an unnamed source saying that Iran fired 10 Fateh missiles, including several Fateh 110 missiles, which have a range of about 300 kilometers. Damn. That's crazy. There you go. The source claimed the attack resulted in multiple casualties. There was no immediate comment from Israel on the allegations of the Iranian missile barrage. Following a cabinet meeting, the Iraqi government in Baghdad reiterated its refusal to allow Iraq to be used to settle scores between other countries. Instead, has requested an explanation from the Iranian leadership. Dude. Do people not understand now that the more present we are in other countries? So what if that would hit? What if that would have hit the embassy over there? What if it would? What would that get us into? What would that get us into? I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm half Jewish. Soros is Jewish. It doesn't matter. That's what's going on over there. Russia-Ukraine war. Congress eyes MiG-29 fighter jet transfer as next White House pressure point. Oh, it gets even better. Now, remember how we said we should back our NATO allies? We should, without committing to troop presence. A growing and bipartisan group in Congress is pushing President Biden to facilitate the transfer of Poland's MiG-29 fighter jets to Ukraine amid Russia's brutal invasion, despite statements by the U.S. military that such a move would be a high-risk, low-reward. A growing bipartisan group in Congress. Warhawks. I think this goes back to what Poland was saying. If we give up these planes, if you replace our planes with your fighters, we'll do it. No. Fuck you. Fuck Poland. The audacity to even ask such a thing, an outlandish, ridiculous thing, is beyond me. But you know why? Because they know that Biden is weak enough that he might actually consider. I think he said no. But now there's a bipartisan group of people pushing for this? You want to send out, you want to replace Poland's Air Force with an upgrade and then they donate the MiGs to Ukraine. If you want effective fighters, we would just circumvent Poland and give them the planes instead. It doesn't stop there. Biden authorizes $200 million more for Ukraine military aid. 200 million more. Look, I'm all for helping out, but there needs to be a fine line saying, okay, you know what? We've done as much as we're willing to do. It's on you at this point. We are fueling a proxy war with Russia. Meanwhile, what is the UN putting up? I'm very curious on that. Russia warned Saturday that it views any weapons deliveries into Ukraine as legitimate targets. If I was Russia, I would say the same thing. Imagine we said the same thing about Russia's involvement in Afghanistan or China's involvement in Afghanistan. If we see you delivering weapons to the Taliban, we will consider you a threat and we will attack. We would do the same exact thing. Russia's not off the mark on this one. President Biden authorized $200 million in new security assistance to Ukraine. A White House official told Fox News, bringing total defense aid for Ukraine to $1.2 billion in the last year. That's 3 months, roughly. $1.2 billion. We got an open back door on our southern border. What are you doing about that? What are you doing about that? We have something. We have fentanyl pouring over the border, which is killing far more Americans than Russia is. Why are we so concerned with what's going on over there? We have to stop the aggression of a superpower. Really? I really don't think they're going to go beyond Ukraine. I don't. And the reason they're going for Ukraine is due to U.S. government meddling. From the EU and UN being complete assholes. I actually want to know where this money is going. I actually want to know where this money is going. Biden's authorization comes after a public disagreement with Poland on sending fighter jets to Ukraine. The U.S. has been flowing weapons into Ukraine, but balked at transferring MiGs, saying Russia would see such a move as escalatory. Are you kidding me? That's like saying if I give you the money to go buy a gun versus I give you a gun, those are two totally separate things. You're still doing it. You might not be giving them the tanks, but you're giving them the funds to purchase the tanks. What are you talking about? Hey guys, that Russia might take it like we're giving them weapons, but we're going to give them money. I didn't buy you this car, but here's this gift card to your local Chevrolet dealer or whatever the case may be. Are you kidding me with this? You kidding me with this? That's crazy to me. Are you going to talk about the West Point cadets that overdosed over this weekend? No. Why would I care about that? You want to go out and do drugs and OD, then fucking do it. You're an idiot. I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I mean, better they did it there than on the line. Nonetheless, Moscow warned Saturday that it views any weapon deliveries into Ukraine as legitimate targets. Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov said Russia warned the U.S. that pumping weapons from a number of countries it orchestrates isn't just a dangerous move, it's an action that makes those convoys legitimate targets. Congress this weekend approved $13.6 billion in additional aid, which included $6.5 billion for costs of sending troops and weapons to Eastern Europe and $6.8 billion for refugees and economic aid. Biden plans to sign the spending bill with the additional aid when he receives it next week. What's the end goal here? What they're trying to do, essentially, is to take on Putin, starve his economy, and at the same time push this. This is very like what's the end goal here? We definitely don't want to see Russia take over Ukraine, right? But if they do, all this is for nothing. It's kind of crazy to me. The war in Ukraine is in its 17th day. The Ukrainian President Zelensky saying for the first time Saturday that an estimated 1,300 Ukrainians have been killed by Russia. Zelensky also claimed that 500 to 600 Russian troops had surrendered Friday. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby said this week that weapons sent to Ukraine from America and other nations are being used with great effect. Kirby said defense assessments showed that adding aircraft to the Ukrainian inventory is not likely to significantly change the effectiveness of the Ukrainian Air Force relative to Russian capabilities. Therefore, we believe that the gain of transferring those MiG-29s is low, Kirby said. And Poland's not stupid. They knew that. They were trying to pull one over on us. This is pretty cool right here. Rand Paul introduces amendments to eliminate Fauci's position as NIAID director. Paul says no one person should have unilateral authority to make decisions for millions of Americans. Senator Rand Paul, Kentucky, on Monday introduced an amendment that would eliminate Dr. Anthony Fauci's position as the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases and decentralize it so that no one person can act as a dictator-in-chief in the name of public health, the senator said. Damn it all, I love Rand Paul because that is 100% what we need. Decentralized. The GOP should take note. Do not give any one figurehead that much power. Don't. Because here's the beautiful thing. If it's decentralized, you have various different groups conducting various different kinds of research, which if it conflicts, then we have an issue, which is a good thing, though. That way it doesn't give the narrative just one mouthpiece. You can have multiple different narratives, multiple different perspectives. Makes sense to me. Paul's amendment will recognize NIAID by breaking it down into 3 separate national research institutes, all with their own director, including the National Institute of Allergic Diseases, the National Institute of Infectious Diseases, and the National Institute of Immunological Diseases. We've learned a lot over the past 2 years, but one lesson in particular is that no one person should be deemed dictator-in-chief, Paul said in a statement announcing the amendment. No one person should have unilateral authority to make decisions for millions of Americans, and I 100% agree. This will create accountability and oversight into a taxpayer-funded position that has largely abused its power and has been responsible for many failures and misinformation during the COVID-19 pandemic, he said. Each of the 3 institutes proposed by Paul would be led by a director who's appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate for a 5-year term. He said, I've been a physician for over 33 years, Paul wrote in a piece Monday for Fox News Digital. In all my years studying and practicing medicine, I had never encountered someone with the gall to proclaim himself the science and portray anyone opposing him as attacking science. That is, until Fauci became the COVID dictator-in-chief. The biggest lesson we have learned over the last 2 years is that no one person should have this much unchecked power, he wrote, and my amendment, which will get a vote this week, will finally force accountability and fire Dr. Fauci. 100% needed. $100% needed. In other news, exclusive video, Texas restarts border wall project canceled by Biden, says governor. How convenient. Right before election. Eagle Pass, Texas. The state acquired a large quantity of 30-foot wall panels from the Biden administration to utilize in the construction of a border wall. The materials came from federal contracts canceled in January of 2021. Texas is the first state ever to build a border wall. Governor Greg Abbott began an exclusive interview. A lot of border walls being built by border wall material that there was a contract for. Texas bought it from contractors who built the wall for President Trump. We're building the exact same wall. In addition, a lot of people saw on TV a lot of these border wall components like this that were just laying on the ground the taxpayer had paid for, Governor added. Biden chose not to build the wall. This is true. He found a way by going through the surplus program of the federal government where Texas would be able to obtain these border wall panels, and we obtained as much as we could until Biden found out about it, Abbott explained. They put a stop to Texas being able to get it. There may be some other ways that we will be able to get more. The stacks of panels appeared to cover more than an acre of land. The governor explained that the first parts of the Texas project were built on state-owned land. The new sections are scheduled to be built on parcels provided by ranch owners. Texas is not having to use eminent domain, Abbott explained. People who own property on the border are so angry against the Biden administration, so frustrated by the chaos and crime created by their own property, they are giving us an easement to build the border wall. Because of getting both the materials and the land without cost to the taxpayer, Texas is able to build the wall at a faster pace and lower the cost than even when President Trump could do. The bottom line is the border wall panels that Biden was allowing to lay on the ground will be put up and protecting and securing the great state of Texas, he continued. This is the first part of an exclusive interview with Governor Greg Abbott. Watch the full interview, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it just, once again, it's kind of pathetic when you've got a president that cancels the construction of a wall to protect our southern borders. I am just honestly at a loss. I cannot understand why you'd pause that. I mean, I know why you do, because you bend the knee to the woke SJW mob out there that says that's xenophobic. That's what you're doing it for. You care more about these liberal progressives screaming from their echo chambers about how horrible it is to have a border wall and keep people out, while Americans are dying from fentanyl ODs, shit like that. Sex trafficking is through the roof. But hey, no more mean tweets, right? This is what happens when you have a society that listens to its less intelligent people that, quite honestly, should be rounded up and extradited out of America. Send them somewhere else, or export, excuse me. Send them somewhere else. I don't want to share a country with these idiots. I don't. I think these people are morons. They would rather see America on fire and people being able to say their pronouns because that's what they want. They're perfectly fine with this. Hey, as long as we can signal about virtue, about how good we are, hey, the fires, we can use them for good things. Forget the causation or that people are dying. I'm being, I'm not being literal here. These people don't give a damn about their fellow Americans. They care more about virtue signaling. If social media didn't exist, that wall would already be built. It would. It would. Social media has given voices to those that probably should not have a voice. Stupid people. Legitimately stupid people. And you want to see how bad our society's become? I challenge you to go follow on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. Go follow the account Libs of TikTok. I know many of you have heard of it. This account posts the derangement that is the progressive left, the insanity that has gripped the progressive left. If you don't believe me, go look for yourself. Libs of TikTok. And you will see firsthand how nuts it is. I'm not making this up. I am not making this up. Progressive teachers of your youth with rainbow hair, septum rings, their pronouns on a sticker on their chest. Weirdos. Just weirdos. These people belong in asylums. These are not the ones we want teaching our children. Another article says, report, Moscow warns of arrests, seizures, and confiscations against Western companies leaving Russia. Jesus. The Russian government on Sunday reportedly threatened foreign companies who plan to withdraw from the nation. They could have their staff members arrested and assets seized as Moscow seeks to mitigate the economic impact of sanctions. What, are you going to force these people to work against their will? Companies that have allegedly received this threat via phone calls, letters, and in-person visits include U.S. outlets Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Procter & Gamble, and Yum Brands, who own KFC and Pizza Hut, all of whom announced last week they would be ceasing operations in Russia while the Ukrainian invasion continues, as Breitbart News reported. Alongside these reported initial measures to intimidate companies out of withdrawing from former Soviet nation, Russia has also warned foreign company officials that they will be arrested or have their assets seized, which includes intellectual property, if they criticize the Russian government. And you leftists thought that Trump was a fascist. That is fascism. That is a dictatorship. That's crazy to me. It's pathetic. You know what I love about these losers on YouTube? This guy's takes are so stupid, they don't give a fuck about the SJW say, you dumb cunt. They're just doing this for fucking reasons you don't understand. Oh, please, give me some of those reasons then. By all means. If you think this isn't about votes and securing power in a political party, you're a fucking moron. So until you ever, if you cannot come up with any actual description, you will shut your fucking mouth and listen to Daddy Burke. Until then, if I don't give you permission to speak, you shut your mouth. Do you understand me? Whatever your right H fucking name is. You don't ever come on my channel. You listen to what I say because that's why you're here. You're in my chat room. If I give you permission to enter, you're going to sit down and shut the fuck up. Daddy Burke is talking. When I'm finished, you can talk. Do you understand me? Know your place, you little mental peasant. It is not up here with the likes of me. You are not smart enough to have a discussion with me. You're not. You think you are. But the simple fact that you want to come at me sideways, some shit like, it's a dumb take. It's not the only reason, of course, but it is a massive one. We've seen it repeatedly across the board. And if you cannot counter the points, then shut your fucking mouth. Or I'll give you something to stick in it that'll hold you over. You understand me? You little fucking nobody. That's what I thought. Alongside the report are initial measures to intimidate companies out of withdrawing from the we talked about the assets. Russia's state-run Sputnik News reported on Friday that Moscow is preparing ostensibly devastating retaliatory sanctions that will be well calculated and painful for the American side. These alleged extreme measures have reportedly forced at least one foreign company to restrict emails to Russian team members due to fears about government influence, and has also triggered the companies to begin transferring their foreign national executive out of the rogue nation, the Wall Street Journal reports. This is insane to me. Like, Jesus. I can't believe that. But hey, let's get involved. Let's send troops. Billions. Yeah, let's do it. It's crazy to me. Yeah. Russia's just trying to freaking staunch the bleeding. It's not going to work. And here it is. This is what worries me. U.S. warns China not to assist Russia in the invasion of Ukraine. News came out yesterday that Russia apparently is talking to China about gaining their support. For those that don't understand, this would be very bad. This would be very, very bad. China's the real issue here. It's not Russia, it's China. China. Russia and China on Monday denied allegations by U.S. officials that Russia had asked China to provide military equipment to assist the invasion of Ukraine. The Biden administration issued public warnings to Beijing on Monday that it must not do anything to assist the Russian war effort or help Moscow evade international sanctions. The accusation that Russia asked China for help with the Ukraine attack came from unnamed U.S. officials who spoke to the Washington Post on Sunday. The officials did not say what kind of weaponry had been requested or whether they know how China responded. Similar reports were published on Sunday that the Financial Times and New York Times and Politico, probably quoting the same anonymous U.S. officials. This report said Russia has been asking China for military equipment and other assistance since the start of the invasion. Another person familiar with the situation said the U.S. was preparing to warn its allies amid some indications that China may be preparing to help Russia. Other U.S. officials have said there were signs that Russia was running out of some kind of weaponry as the war in Ukraine extends into its third week. I don't know if I believe that. Dude, I don't know if I believe that. You think Russia's running out of military equipment? I don't think I can believe that. I mean, unless Russia has talked a big game for a very, very, very long period of time to hype themselves up to be this massive global powerhouse and then come and find out they're not. But I don't know. I don't know. I think there's more to this than meets the eye. Yeah, I think Russia, I don't think they're playing their hand. I don't think they're actually playing their hand. They're not going to show it. Not yet, at least. I have this weird feeling about it. I don't know. Another person familiar with the situation said the U.S. was preparing to warn its allies. Blah, 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 blah. Washington Post quoted analysts who said China has not previously been known to sell weapons to Russia, but it had purchased weapons from Russia, raising the possibility that Russia's request for assistance could involve China loaning or returning some of the gear it obtained from Russia. The Financial Times quoted that former CIA analyst Chris Johnson suggesting that China might be receptive to pleas for assistance from Moscow because it fears a debacle in Ukraine could bring down Russian dictator Vladimir Putin and his government, unleashing chaos on their northern border unseen since the collapse of the Soviet Union. All these reports indicated the sources were not authorized to speak on the record. All the reporting news agencies said the White House refused to comment on the allegations. The New York Times said its sources had to remain off the record to keep their secret means of collecting the intelligence on Russian requests. The White House did, however, issue public warnings to China not to assist the Russian invasion in any way, including sanctions relief for Moscow. We are communicating directly, privately with Beijing that there will absolutely be consequences for large-scale sanctions, invasions, efforts, or support of Russia to backfire on them. We will not allow that to go forward and allow there to be a lifeline to Russia from these economic sanctions from a country anywhere in the world, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said in CNN. Communist China and Vladimir Putin's Russia are attempting to forge a new world order in which the rules of the world are set in Beijing and Moscow instead of Washington, a Lithuanian MP has told Breitbart News. Or you just stay out of that bullshit and not get involved. I mean, it's kind of funny to me that we want to sit there and tell China not to get involved in Ukraine as we get involved in Ukraine. That's funny to me. I don't agree with it, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying we're very hypocritical in a lot of our demands here. Hey, you better not do what I did back in 2014. You better not do what we did. Because, yeah. I agree. It should not be in Washington either. Washington does not have the right to dictate to the world how the world operates. I don't agree with that. All right. Democrat Beto O'Rourke. You're going to love this. Remember how he flip-flopped on the two-way? Beto O'Rourke says critical race theory should not be taught in schools. Texas gubernatorial candidate and former Representative Robert Francis Beto O'Rourke came out against teaching critical race theory in schools Friday while parroting the talking point that it is only taught in law schools. That is not true. That is a lie. It has been proven. Critical race theory, it's not only in law schools, it's also in schools across the country. It has been proven time and time again. This guy all he's doing is he is pandering. This is pandering at its finest. If you're a Democrat living in Texas and you sit there and you really think Beto really means this, you're out of your mind. He is pandering for Texas votes. He is pandering to split the conservative vote. He's trying. It won't succeed. Beto is anti-2A. He claims he's not. Man, he was on the warpath after the shooting in El Paso. Presidential debates, he was on the warpath. Hell yeah, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. Hell yeah. Then he comes out in an interview not 2 months ago. I'm not interested in attacking the Second Amendment. You were when you were running for president. What changed, Beto? I should call him Beto. He's Beto. What changed? We know what changed. He's running in Texas. He's trying to win over conservatives. It's not going to happen. People don't trust you. I would have more respect for you if you stood by the DNC talking point of being pro-CRT. But with Beto, he's in the class all of his own. This guy flip-flops. He flip-flops. This is the classic illustration of a propaganda-spewing politician that at core, at root, is a populist. He has no individual opinions of his own. He just echoes out what he thinks the majority would want, which means that you have no moral compass, no guiding light, which also means you would be definitely enforcing, tyranny by the majority if it ever came to it. Hey, majority rule, right? No, not always. Sometimes you got to disagree with that. Beto doesn't have that. Beto's he's going to be losing a lot of support on this one. The fact that he's doing this, like, bro, he needs to. I don't know why Democrats propped him up in Texas. I really don't. That was a losing move. Which, again, hey, good for you. I guess I shouldn't be upset about. I mean, I'm not upset. I guess we should actually encourage this type of behavior because, again, it just outs these politicians for who they really are. It exposes them and who they really are to the world. These people are sleazebag politicians. Last but most certainly not least, you're going to love this. You're going to love it, folks. Are you ready for this? Here it is. Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla says fourth COVID shot is necessary. Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla said Sunday on CBS's Face of the Nation that he believed that a fourth dose of his company's COVID-19 vaccine was necessary. I know that, Facebook's all about calling for violence about Russia and stuff like that. Why not this douchebag? These lies. The year is 2025, and after taking my 10th booster, I have now grown a third arm. Jesus. The vaccine originally was going to stop the spread. You're putting my family in danger. Get the jab. Fuck you and your family. You got to love it. At first, it was one vaccine. You won't get COVID. And then the narrative changed. Oh, you'll get COVID, but it'll lessen the symptoms. And people with the vaccine are still dying in some cases. Well, it doesn't let you have permanent damage, but you need at least, one booster. Then 2 boosters. 3 boosters. Now 4 boosters. Jesus. And people still buy into this garbage. And again, I have to preface this with, I am pro-choice. In regards to vaccinations, you should have the right to deny it or to accept it. There should be no forced vaccine mandates. None. It's a joke. This was an issue that was brought on by the U.S. and Chinese governments that millions have died for. And these people have made billions upon billions of dollars. You got to love it. And I always love that. You're putting my family in danger. But it's usually, that narrative is usually spouted by these fat fucks sitting in their little electric chairs that are weighing like 300 pounds, that are stuffing fat pills down their throats left and right. Stop putting me in danger as I sit here smoking my second pack of the day. Like, really? Really? Am I? There's a reason that it's the fatties that are dying at a much higher rate than anybody else. Oh, but, I would love to see the Pfizer CEO come up like, you know what? To fix this COVID issue, maybe take your fat ass to the gym. That could be something, right? Because if 81 to 82% that died from COVID also were obese, kind of tells you something. Weird. We're not ready for that conversation, are we? If you really think the government gives a damn about you, you're out of your mind. You are really out of your mind. You can call me a fat shamer all you want. I really don't care, but it's true. I think it's also funny that they call us science deniers. It's not that I'm denying the science. It's that I don't trust you. I don't trust this government. I didn't trust it under Trump. I certainly don't trust it under Biden. But here's the deal. If you do trust it, you should have the option to go get the jab. Do it. Go for it. I'm not against that. What I am against is forcing it on other people. I don't agree with that. But hey, if we follow the science, dude, the science has changed more than Oprah's cholesterol levels. It's nuts. crazy. But hey, don't say anything about fat people, those that are more likely to die due to COVID than anybody else. But, hey, let's go get them some donuts, right? Hey, come get your second Krispy Kreme donut. Get some free pizza. Huh? Yeah. Crazy, right? Yeah. There you have it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's podcast episode. Again, apologies for no intro or outro music because Josh is not here today, but I appreciate your love and support. Again, you can check us out at shellshockcbd.com. Shellshockcbd.com. And I'll be honest with you guys, there were a lot of articles that were coming out that were talking about how CBD actually helps with COVID. I didn't publish them because it's going to make it look too opportunistic, and I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to lie. You can go research the articles for yourself. They exist. They're out there. Go read up on it for yourself. I just think it's funny that the government can sit there and say, eat this shit, stay inside, isolate, be out of the sunlight, be indoors, just be sick. And then CBD, which continuously gets demonized for all the wrong fucking reasons. Not a peep about that. Not a peep about exercising. Not a peep about anything. That's just funny to me. It's crazy. But all right, we're going to be giving away a tanker today and the Tipsy Shaving Aftershave. We're going to be giving that away. So don't go anywhere. If you're on Twitch, don't go anywhere because I'm going to end the stream and I'm going to go back live only on Twitch because it's only for my Twitch subscribers. And I'm actually going to go get one of the tankers to show you guys because I got a surprise for you. We got some new tankers or some ones that we have not sold before or that are currently, we weren't selling before, will be given away. And for people that missed out, I think last week we did the buy $100 worth or more of Shell Shock products, get a free tankard. That will be coming back. I think not this week, but next. And we have a lot of tankards. It's going to be a random. You get a mystery tankard, but it's pretty cool. Vote on shirts. Nope, already got the shirt being designed. That's coming soon. So, all right. Until tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you go leave us a good review on the podcast. It's the All American Savage Show on Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes. We appreciate your love and support. You can follow me on Twitter. Tweet me out there at Sergeant Savage. And then follow me on Instagram at John Burke11 Bravo. John Burke11 Bravo. I appreciate your love and support. Twitch, don't you go anywhere. I'll be right back. And until then, ladies and gentlemen,